Good evening. Yeah, looking at the founding principles and shared values, key to cohesion in diverse societies, and the role of faith society or faith readers, it's key to begin for me on what is the role of faith readers. And I would want to mention that the role of faith readers is fivefold. First is that faith readers have a task to map and survey the mission terrain and the people where they operate. Two, faith readers have a task to seek cooperation amongst themselves for mutual helpfulness. Three, faith readers have a task to unswervingly stick to loyalty of the virtues of justice, prudence, and firmness as a core that is central to their mandate. 3 or 4, faith readers, because of their positioning, are voices of the voiceless, and so they have a task to check the authority in praise, where they are praised, where they are exercising their mission, that the authority in leadership, politically for the people, exercises moral consistency to draw contentment in a world of diversity. Because the political leadership is in place for all the people within that terrain of leadership. And so they have a task to check that that authority exercises moral consistency. They are also bridge builders alongside the same part of advocacy. And with those fivefold mission as faith readers, we need to ask ourselves, why ought they to do so as faith readers? And again, I would want to mention that is also fivefold. The reason why. One is that faith readers are placed in a positioning which is very critical, and I would just want to read this to us. As bodies of faith, we should refuse all forms of repression, illiteracy, poverty, and exploitation. Reject oppression, may it be social, religious, or economic, and strengthen the commitment to educate and train to transform lives. And that cuts across the body of all faith leaders together. And that being a major task, therefore, it is important also to remember they have to step out of their comfort zone and address issues and crises of the day. It is not anticipated or expected. Faith readers will sit and be comfortable that they are advocating for heavenly kingdom. In what we say in our common language back at home, then you have no other use. They must be concerned about the issues and the crises of the day. And that means rolling out peace-building strategies, peace forums, in the sermons that they speak, enrobing the governments of the day to enforce community safety and security policies and promote peace. This cannot be furthered without addressing the social miseries and the inadequacies, the inequalities, the marginalization of any of the people within the communities where they operate and they serve. And that's why, as I had earlier stated, they must map and survey the terrain, so that when they speak to the people that live in that terrain, they are able to embrace the entirety of the human beings that are within that geographical setting. Because that is what a faith person is called to do. So that when they get to speak about the people they serve, they are not speaking of a marginalized few. They ought to be all incorporating. At the same breath, it's important that the faith readers remember their divine mandate. That the calling of God in them, which is threefold. One, they are carriers of divine wisdom. And the divine wisdom of God is that he loves all his creation. And he cares about all his creation. Two, they are seekers of God's justice. They are put in the environment of the living on earth, that they may seek the justice that is the heart of God. For God so loved the world. And the world incorporates all, including the rivers and the valleys, the forests, the hills and the mountains. That is the creation of God. He loved it all, and so it should all be thought in as the faith readers interject and do their work. So they should be outspoken in rejecting any and all conflict, the struggle for peace, and threaten the precarious peace needed for the tranquility of order. So there is orderliness in the human persons living and coexisting with each other. It is also important for the faith reader to know whether serving amongst the majority or amongst the minority, you are a leader for all. A servant called by God to think and embrace all. The fourth part of that reason why is that faith readers, by their calling and their positioning in life, are meant to be models, portraits of godliness. In their words, in their actions. What does that mean? Is that they ought to be open lives that are given to serving God and people. And when that is the reality, they involve themselves actively in participation for the ethical struggle for peace, in transforming the violently conflicting social unity and the reality we find ourselves in. You can't be at peace with yourself without the peace of the environment. The peace of the encountering contextual setting that one is operating in. As a portrait of godliness, our words and our actions speak volumes. And fifthly, is the praise of prayer. Because faith readers pray. They lead bodies of prayer. And so in prayer, they invoke the presence of the just word of God and cause that reality to come and to be. Now, quickly summing up that, in our Kenyan context, we have had to carry on peace initiatives as faith readers, working in collaboration as interfaith bodies. We have developed strategies towards deepening the values of nationhood, civic virtue, of justice, prudence, firmness, as earlier mentioned. We have joined together in forums for corrective consciousness and social competence for the sake of public safety and mitigation. So we work as ecumenical bodies and as interfaith bodies to share the realities and build the scenarios within our context and desire to share that in a broader spectrum towards touching base with the rest of our nationals. We dialogue, and in dialoguing together, we are able to, in common spirit, release press statements that speak to issues that require correction within the nation. We are able also to carry out interventions that are needful within the society, and very particularly local contexts where conflicts have been a reality. And all I would say is the values that hold us together are evident. That we bear one life, and that is the blood of God in all of us. And we have common contexts of our endeavors that make us draw our voices together as we run the race of serving for this one humanity in peace. Thank you.